Here's how you can take your sounds farther with creative macros. I'm sure you've all heard the whole thought about presets and tweak. I've heard that a million times of that's a sound design approach that many people take. They'll get a preset and they'll tweak it to taste. You can consider this a more fun version of that. So sometimes what I like to do is I like to find a sound that I enjoy. In this case, Moody Goods, Riz Latif. And that requires going and listening to it. That little top synth sound, I heard it and I thought that was really sick. So I tried to come up with something similar. Taking that sound that Moody Good did, and phenomenal sound, and just making it my own. Then having your macros in such a way that you have a lot more options to get away from what is admittedly Moody's sound and not mine. So check it out. I've got a couple of basic macros and then a couple of creative macros. And it's important to design all of them together as much as possible. When I design a sound and come back to it a year later, I could have figured out that adding more drive sounds good. So instead, you want to use some creative terms or just get out of the habit of saying like oscillator 3 sub, sub on off, stuff like that. So here's the sound. Now here's what tone does. Nothing crazy, but just we get a lot of that high end. Fun. Start just has a little bit more attack to it. Clean gets rid of, I think, the pitch modulation. Fun. Tension. I'll sometimes call that pressure. Something that just makes the sound feel like exactly that there's just pressure put on it. And now just messing around with these few. Already getting away from that original sound, getting some options. But that's not why I made this video. It's really these back four. Check it out. Sounds like we got a bit crush going on. Delay, distortion, envelope one hold, so adjusting the size, the length of the sound. Sounds a little bit crushed, sounds like a time capsule. Psych out. I love this kind of stuff. Delay effects, reverb effects, adjusting the feedback, that kind of stuff. Helicopter. You can see this. I've got an LFO going on, like going crazy on 3 different things, but then this macro is controlling 9. Stairwell. Kind of just a reverb, but I think it's got a little bit of a metallic edge to it. Now, if we start to put these together, you get I use these in a track, so check it out. You get a lot of mileage. Again, remember that the original sound was this. So here's it in practice where I used the same sound 4 times. The first 2 times, same macro settings, 1 octave higher, so didn't have to change it too much. And then the 3rd and 4th is where the sound really comes to life. And I didn't need to do any external processing to come up. I don't even think there is anything on this. There's an EQ on it. There's a clipper on it. And it's not doing much. So here's the sound. And a snare. adds a whole bunch of drama. And I think I even took that a step further in the second drop, um, as you can see. So instead of having to be stuck with coming up with 10, 15 different sounds to make a drop interesting, I've just got one. Down low. So the point is, when you're designing your own macros, or if you have presets that you acquired, just decide if the macros are actually useful. And if they're not, or if they're empty, which often they are, then come up with a few basics and a few creatives. All basic is kind of how presets tend to come these days, often. All creative is fun, but maybe a little bit too putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit. There's no need to over design. We don't want the sound to be taking away from the song. We want the sound to support the song, and simplicity often goes a long way. So I like to do half simple, half creative. There you go.